See, I'm curious about irrational concerns for those who are receiving the vaccine and trying to, navigate this pandemic. There still are some mixed messages and controversies, some of which we've had on this set, about mask wearing outside, et cetera, et cetera. A scenario for you. Grandparents who are vaccinated, they live in a different state. Can a family bring young children to vaccinated grandparents, or is that too scary?
So, great question. Thanks for having me this morning in this historic and emotional time in our country. So I don't want to speak for David, but let me say this. There are 4 points I want to make about the vaccines, and then I want to tell you what we can do about those points. Number one, the vaccines take death and severe disease off the table. Number two, when you have been vaccinated against COVID-19, your risk of getting COVID-19 at all is 0.0005%. That's 3 zeros and a 5. It's hard to get coronavirus after you've been vaccinated. Number three, the vaccines are powerful weapons against all of the circulating variants. Number four, the vaccines make transmission very difficult. We need to shift our internal narrative from one of fear to one where we can start taking small calculated risks. We need to shift the public narrative to reflect this robust data and have confidence in the vaccine. We need hope more than ever right this moment.
Dr. McBride, it's Willie Geist. So I think so much of this is out of habit at this point. We were talking yesterday about wearing masks outside. I'm walking around New York City last night. Almost everyone has a mask on outdoors. In your view, is that still necessary? And how do we break these habits that we've all fallen into, we think, for our own health, but also as an unselfish act to not get other people sick? How do you start to break those habits and get back to normal life?
Sure. So we have been marinating in stress hormones, right, for 14 months. We have been in fear, protect mode for so long. And as I wrote in the Washington Post a couple weeks ago, there's a phenomenon called fear of normal, FONO is what I'm calling it, where it's hard to pivot from a fear-based way of thinking into, let's live our lives again. We don't need to wear masks outside. It doesn't make sense. There's no one in medicine, epidemiology, or virology that is recommending outdoor masking, unless, of course, you're in Mumbai in a crowded situation, right? But in the United States, where we're doing extraordinarily well, we're getting 3.5 million shots in arms every day, and nature is naturally ventilated. It doesn't make sense to wear masks outside. At the same time, we want to care about others in our community, but we can do that by getting vaccinated.
Yeah, and I just want to underline the points that you made, because again, we're looking at science here. We're looking at medicine. And just as we've been critical of politicians over the past year that have ignored medicine, that have ignored science, now we need to look at those who are overreacting. And I think we can use that word. You look that number, 0.0005%. And then you're outside 3 zeros. And then on that, you add the natural ventilation outside, and it makes, we got to go, but I want you to underline this point to a lot of our viewers who've heard us saying people must be cautious and careful this year. Okay, but they do have to change their thinking. I want you to once again answer the question: is there any scientific reason for people who have been vaccinated to wear a mask outside? Any scientific reason whatsoever?
No. You can't transmit virus. You can 94% reduction in transmission based on the Israeli data. 94% reduction in the transmission of virus after vaccination. So
okay, well, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And Anika, it is time. And she's exactly right. It is time for our leaders to shift their thinking. We have over 50% of Americans who are vaccinated now. The rate of infection, possibility of infection is so low that we're not in April or May of 2020. Well, this is a new time, and they need to adjust. Doctors are starting to say that. We're seeing it. A lot of doctors we've had on this show are starting to say, follow the science, follow the medicine. And the science of the medicine is saying it's safe to go outside if you're vaccinated without a
It's
mask.
also important for grandparents to see their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And if they're vaccinated, I mean, it's almost a fundamental part of life to be able to reconnect.
And-
David Leonhardt's piece is amazing,
It's
so
great.
check it out. We'll try and have him back.
David, we can't
It was great.
We can't wait to have you. I'm
Couldn't hear ya.
not sure why they sent you to the dark side of Venus. We're gonna get you.
Okay.
We're gonna get you somewhere closer
All
next
right.
time. But Willie, you were right though. I mean, you go through a lot of cities. Everybody's wearing a mask. You look at baseball games. Everybody's wearing a mask. It doesn't make sense. If
they're vaccinated.
If they're vaccinated, it does not make sense anymore.
Well, the truth is, we just don't have clarity on what we should and shouldn't be doing. The clarity that Dr. McBride just showed. And I think everyone who has a mask on walking around New York City is doing it in good faith. They've been told for a year and change now that you need to wear a mask so that you keep yourself safe and that you keep other people safe. I just don't think people understand or know how low the risk is outdoors. Dr. McBride had a tweet, I think it was yesterday, said, not dying is important and almost guaranteed if you have the vaccination, but what about living? At what point do we turn the corner and start living again?
That is what we're all trying to do. All right, we're just about to hit the top of the hour, so let's get to our top story.